Durag Diaries. Spurs have a problem. A very big problem at that. We cannot create good chances from open play. In our last 5 games, there has only been one game, that being the Brighton game, the last one, where we created a 1.18 XG. But away from that, we've only had one game where we've created more than 1 XG in front of goal. Now, I'm not a guy that watches football with a calculator. I'm not a stat merchant. I don't really rate XG, but this does point to be a problem. There is definitely a problem that needs to be addressed. Now, whether that's the players that are being chosen, whether that's the tactics and the managerial setup, or whether that's just the players aren't good enough, we have to look at the issue. It cannot be ignored. Now, for me, I think the main problem is a combination of the tactics, but also the player selection. I felt like Thomas Frank has got the player selection right in some games, but there has to be a rotation and a change in some of these other games. I think it's fair to say, with regards to the striker choice, he has been limited, with Richarlison being the only available striker for the majority of his time at Spurs so far. I think that Richarlison has been single-handedly breaking down attacks or breaking down the option up front as to why we haven't been creating so much. Now, I've took a few screenshots where I've looked into this a little bit more, and you guys can let me know what you think. But Richarlison's a player who either gives you a goal and a good performance, or no goals and a dreadful performance where he does nothing. Yesterday, in particular, was one of those games where he done nothing. He had 20 touches for the full game, pretty much lost his aerial duels, lost his ground duels, made 5 out of 9 accurate passes. So almost half of his passes were wayward, didn't complete any dribbles, and was just poor in every aspect of the game. But the biggest problem for me has to be the lack of intelligence when we're in front of goal or we're setting up for a goal. Here's a few screenshots here for you. The first one being this that you can see on the screen. Now, in this screenshot in particular, you can see here that Xavi Simons has the ball. He was breaking down the left on the attack. Oh, sorry, let me just change it to this screenshot. Is it this screenshot? There we go. He was breaking down the game on the attack. And as you can see here with Richarlison, he's peeling away to fade off to the back post. Far too often, he's looking to peel off a defender and go round the back rather than come in front and create an option and try and link some play. What you would want here, or what I would imagine you want here from your striker, is for him to... Let me see if I can get a little pen up so I can draw some of this for you. Let's edit this and we'll have a little draw for you so you guys can see exactly what I'm thinking. But I would be expecting the striker to come in here, come into this space, to collect the ball and create an option. So when Xavi's got this ball, because what he eventually does is Xavi cuts in, doesn't make the pass to Udogie, doesn't make the pass to Richarlison, because neither of them were great options at that time, and then he loses the ball. You would want your striker to drop in a little bit deeper, create the option. So if Xavi wants to do a 1-2, he's got someone to play off. He can play it off Richarlison, and then Richarlison can look to knock it into that area. Or Richarlison could receive the ball into this area, and then, as you can see, he's got a little bit of space around him. Turn and attack the goal yourself. But in this moment of play, Richarlison tends to fade away into this area, waiting for something to happen where it doesn't get pulled off. And that was just one of the instances where he was a problem. Let's go into the second instance of when we had Kudus this time, breaking down the right. Kudus does take a shot on this bit, so it might be harsh of me to question what Richarlison's doing, but it's more of the IQ of where you should think to be. In this passage of play, Richarlison looks to go around the defender yet again. where he's trying to break. Sorry, it's not that button. What button did we just press? What button did we just press? Oh wait, sorry, it's there. Bugging. So, bugging. So he looked to go around the defender in this moment, around here, to try and get to that back post, which I get. If Kudus was gonna cross it in, it could have been a good area. But I would want my striker to try and attack that middle area. You can see Kudus going and he's looking up and he's moving at pace. He might take a shot here. Attack that middle area. The keeper eventually parries it and it falls into this area anyway. So if Richarlison was in and around this area here, he probably would have received the ball. Whether it would have been of a header, whether it would have been from a rebound, he probably would have had a better opportunity to get it. But it's just these little moments that you're just expecting Richarlison to do just that little bit better. Make the smarter choice. Again, in this moment, Brennan Johnson's on the break. This is late on in the game and in the transition. You can see again, I understand why Richarlison thinks this is the smarter run to make. I understand. He wants to drive down here if Brennan Johnson would be good enough to make that pass. But we know Brennan Johnson's passing is limited. So what I would expect from my striker here is to try and cut the gap. You got two players here with you watching your run. It's very unlikely the ball's going to get to you with these two plus Chua, I think his name was, Chachua, in this middle area sweeping. Why doesn't he cut across the defender and run into this space here without this defender even knowing? Brennan Johnson eventually makes that pass here that gets cut out. And again, it just wasn't good enough from Richarlison. But look, I ain't here to pick on Richarlison because I don't think he's the only issue. I think Xavi Simons definitely needs to work on being a bit smarter with his play, releasing the ball a little bit quicker, and sometimes just press trigger. Just press trigger. Because I can see a lot of the crosses going into the area, but I just want you to shoot. I've seen it at the other clubs, at PSV, at Leipzig. He shoots a lot. He's on the edge of the area, always trying to create himself an opportunity. I just want to see Xavi Simons do a little bit more of that, but I do think that'll be helped once he comes into the middle. I think playing Bentancur in a game like this, where we're going up against the defensive side, is a mistake for Thomas Frank. You can't go with a double pivot of Bentancur and Paulinho. It's just too defensive. Both of these players are good at breaking down the game, but when it comes to progressing that ball forward, they don't necessarily have a line-breaking passes in them. So I feel like we need to look at changing that midfield. Throw a few different options in there. Whether that be throw Bergvall and Paulinho as a duo, Paulinho and Sarr, as we saw at the start of the season, as a duo. But putting Xavi Simons in that 10 to allow him a bit more creative freedom is going to be key to unlocking this attack. Now, I definitely am looking forward to when Kulusevski can come back into this fold, because I think he presents another experienced attacking option that we don't have right now. Because when you look at Odebert, when you look at Tell, when you look at Johnson, those three players that come off the bench yesterday, there just wasn't that much. There wasn't that much threat. You was never really seeing any of them get on the ball and try to make something happen. And that's the problem with those three. If you have Kulusevski, if you have Solanke, if you have Kolo Muani, now got more experienced players who then come onto the pitch and know what they need to do. So I do think this attack will look better in the weeks and months to come. But at this moment in time, it is a problem and it needs to be addressed. Thomas Frank does need to start trying a few new attacking solutions when we got the Champions League game midweek to help us do that. So hopefully there is going to be some changes. There are going to be some alterations, but it remains to be seen. I think Richarlison up top, let's see in it. When we get a few new players back, whether that be Solanke soon or Kolo Muani, we can look to make those changes. But at the moment, he is the only option. So all we can do is just ask for him to be a bit smarter with his runs and see if the team can link up a little bit better. But look, people, that's just my thoughts on some of the attacking problems. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think Richarlison is the issue in the build-up. If you think Thomas Frank is the issue, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I think it's a combination of things, but let me know what you guys think more importantly. Also, make sure you're smashing a like button on the video. We are on the road to 5K, so your support is much appreciated. Please go subscribe to the channel. And also, as you can see next to me, this channel is now sponsored by Match Bingo. So you can scan this QR code to get involved. Use promo code DRD to get a 200% depository bonus. You must be 18, living in the UK to play and get involved. But look, if you do, please make sure you gamble responsibly, people. But this is your boy Durag Diaries. And until next time,